Unscheduled reboot in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now jump. Agent Kilo, thank you for your service.
Bengt here has been playing Starbreeze's upcoming action game Syndicate, and he's ready to tell me all about it. Isn't that so?
I think you know most of it, but I've been playing the 4-player co-op mode and a little bit of the single player, and you know, it's only natural when a game like this comes out, you think Deus Ex immediately in your head, but I think people need to reevaluate that because the game doesn't come across as a Deus Ex style game. The gameplay experience is very different, much faster paced, everything is real time. It's much more of a shooter than what Deus Ex is, which is a lot about exploration and role playing. This one is more straightforward. You're just taking down syndicates and extracting chips out of people's heads, basically. So,
right, yeah.
So it's more like that. Not to say that it's a shallow game, but it's a different kind of game than Deus Ex, and only really has the sort of the science fiction theme.
And it's a different game compared to the original as well, right? Really different.
Well, I mean, I don't think we expected Starbreeze to make a top-down sort of strategic game. No.
Oh.
That wasn't the case, and of course it's not. It's a completely different thing. I think it's only got the syndicates and the sort of the overall sort of atmosphere and sort of framing of the story in common, but the gameplay is totally different. Even if you're 4 players in the co-op mode,
yeah.
it's not strategy at all. It's just basically you're 4 people who are trying to get it to an objective and tackling levels and enemies in sequence. So it's not strategic in that sense.
All right. So you've got your hands on both the single player and the co-op. If we start with single player, what was that like? Single
player is, I mean, first of all, the main game is actually the same. It's a shooter, both of them, so they have a lot in common. And you use hacking to sort of breach things and to do the suicide thing in the single player. And the single player has a very strong narrative, and that seems to be the focus point of it. It's something that Starbreeze themselves say that they're working very hard on telling the story, whereas the co-op doesn't really have it has a special storyline for the co-op. So I think there's 9 maps, and there's some sort of, I guess you're getting a view of sort of the greater Syndicate wars from those, whereas the storyline is more centered around the single player campaign is more centered around that main character and his sort of journey through the game. So yeah. 2 different sides of the story and completely separate, you can say. Okay. But
so which one is the most fun?
You know,
is that possible to answer in this stage?
It's really hard to say when you play like 15 minutes of co-op and 10 minutes of single player maybe. But the co-op was very difficult at first because there are a few things that you need to realize when you play Syndicate that aren't true for other first-person shooters. Like, you know, obviously you're going to use cover, but just staying behind cover and shooting enemies is not going to be really effective. You have to be more aggressive than that and help each other out by breaching and healing each other all the time. Yeah. So not just about shooting, and perhaps not even 50% about shooting, but much more about using hacking all the time to try and heal your opponents, take down armors of enemies. Some enemies would, you know, you can't kill them without taking down their armor first and breaching them. And if all 4 players breach at the same time, the armor goes down really quickly. Okay. So you can help each other out in that way. And there were certain turrets and things that you would disengage and take and breach and take down. So you had to provide cover. Someone would run in and take down the turrets so that everyone else could progress. And it's a nice little progression like that. The overall level was maybe 10 minutes, but it took us a few times before we nailed down our tactics. Of course, games journalists are always crap at games, so it takes us a while to sort of figure things out. But yeah, I was impressed by it, and it seems like a really addictive mode. But of course, you know, being a science fiction geek, single player is going to have the big story, and that's an attractive proposition as well.
Yeah, cool. And in the single player mode, I mean, did you get a feeling that it was an engaging storyline, or was it just killing, hacking, running?
Really don't know, because the story, while it was present and you have this narration all the time, they haven't really given us more of a sort of introduction to the story. Maybe you know a little bit more about it than me.
Well, from what I've seen, I think it looks really interesting, actually, because we got this character, Miles Kilo, and his battle against the evil syndicates. And it's an interesting setting as well. I mean, we've seen those Orwellian dark futures before, but this one looks like it could be something special.
And sometimes I actually wish I had a chip in my head so I could see information and everything around me like that.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll get that. Hopefully it won't be like mind control chips from corporations.
Exactly. It would be bad if someone hacked it.
Maybe you would like a game reactor chip in your head. We could fix that for you.
Yeah, and we're in control.
Make sure to check back for paydays every 1st and 15th of each month.